All right, it's the end of September. We've got 1 week left of our nursery being open. Then what?
Well, then we start preparing for winter, but if you still have time before your first frost, so we're in southern Missouri, our first frost date is October 15th. That's the average day that we can expect a first frost. If you have plants in the ground before then you have a good chance of them surviving, because even though we get a frost, the ground doesn't freeze and roots can still grow a little bit. Just a side note, if you're planting plants in the fall, go ahead and plant them, and then you put a stake where that plant is, because most of the perennials are going to die back to the ground. But you cover that area with leaves, mulch, grass clippings, something to provide a little blanket. And then next spring, you'll know where the plant is because you put that stake there, and they'll come up nice and beautiful. The following year, you wouldn't need to do that.
So get out here this next week, get your plants, get them in the ground. You're ready for the winter. Now, we've got to get ready for the winter as soon as we close. What do we do to prepare for the winter?
We're going to show you that today.
Come along.
So we have 2 weeks until October 15th, our frost date, after we close. And so we have a lot of bit of work to do to get ready for the winter, because we overwinter as many plants as we can so that we'll have them next spring. But we also have to make plans for next spring. After March 1st, it is a crazy busy time here. We are working from the early morning till late at night, planting plants, organizing things, cleaning things up. So what we do now will make that spring much smoother. It will be so much less chaotic. At least that's our hope and our plan. So we're going to show you some of those things we're doing. If you have a backyard nursery, and if you're planning on having a backyard nursery next spring, or you have a small nursery this year and you want to grow it, we hope that some of the things that we're going to share with you today will help you be more successful. The first big chore that we have to do is to go through the mist tunnel and pull out all of these plants that we've been propagating since early spring and get them into pots. These are dappled willow, and we stuck these plants back in the end of June of this year. And so we're going to just take these out. They're ready to be up potted. So I'm going to just take some of these out. And this is one of the things we have to do to get ready for winter, is potting all of these up. So I have some of our potting media, and I'm just going to carefully pull out. You see the roots there, and plant. So before winter comes, we have to get all of these into bigger pots. The bigger pots, as we have a freeze and thaw cycle over the winter, the bigger pots will protect the roots so much better. So we're going to just keep potting these up, and any other plants that are in our mist tunnel, to get ready for winter. Once we get all of the plants from the propagation tunnel done, then we have to go through our grow tunnel. And these are plants that we got in earlier in the spring, and they're in these small pots. And again, if we leave them in these small pots with the freeze-thaw cycle in the winter, they're not going to do very well. So all of these are going to get potted up into gallon pots. Also, we like to, like I said earlier, get a jump start on spring. And we ordered in plugs for a bunch of native plants and some other plants that we sell a lot of. And when those come in, those will all have to get potted up as well. To get our plants all ready to overwinter, we're going to take the plants that we have and we're going to trim them back. We're going to go and look through and make sure there's no weeds, and then they'll be moving over into our winter tunnel. So all I'm going to do is take this plant, and anything that's kind of long, I'm just trimming back. These are going to die anyway, and it just makes everything a little bit cleaner. And of course, because our nursery is still open, we're not going to do this to all of the plants. We're just going to do it to a few, just to show you what we're doing. And as always, when you do this, you want to practice sanitation, so I washed these in alcohol before I started. And before I go to the next variety of plant, I will wash them again. Okay, now that those are all, let's even trim some of these back. I do want to leave a few leaves. And then I'm going to come in here and look and see if there's any dead leaves that are further down, any weeds that might be in. And there you go. That plant's ready to get moved into our winter tunnel. In our winter tunnel, what we're going to do is we're going to put all of the pots on the ground as close tight together. So we'll have them really, really tight in there. We'll have small walkways where it's going to be like walking a tightrope to get through them, because we want the mass of the pots all together to help retain the same temperature. So it's not that we need to keep them warm. What we need to do is we need to make them not freeze, thaw fast. If they freeze slowly and if they thaw slowly, they have a much better success rate. So let's show you what we're talking about when we talk about our winter tunnel.
So we're going to transform these shade tunnels into our winter tunnels. How we did that, we're going to do that is we'll remove the shade cloth. We still have the awnings that came with them, and we'll cover them with those awnings. But we'll also remove these legs and drop it all the way down to the ground. And here's a picture of last year during a snowstorm of what it looks like. Now once we have that dropped to the ground, or just prior to dropping it to the ground, we'll have this lined with all the plants like Katie was telling you earlier. We'll pack those plants in side by side. And again, here's another image of them, what it looked like last year with all those pots crammed in under here. Now that will keep it, help them maintain their warmth. And like she said, they'll still go through a freeze and then they'll go through the defrost, but they won't go as quickly as if they were out on their own. That increases the chance of success of them surviving. So once these plants are packed in here, before we drop the roof down on them, we're going to give them all a good watering. And that should sustain them through the winter. They go into dormant stage, but if we get some warmed up weather during the winter, we'll come back out here and give them a quick watering just for insurance. Once we're done packing into this winterized tunnel, we'll have our perennials, shrubs, still to deal with. We have barns and workshops here on the property, and there's alcoves in between those buildings. So those plants will get tucked in between those alcoves. They primarily just need a wind break. They'll be protected from the wind in those areas, all right? So that'll keep them out of the wind. It'll keep them out of frost, snow, and the ones in the alcove, we're not worried about the snow with them as much. It's more the wind break that they need. So that's going to be your big saving grace during the winter, is get your plants covered if you can, and the larger ones just at least a wind break. And that's it.
So again, those new plugs that are coming in this fall that we're potting up, they're not going to survive in a pot over winter outside. So we're going to put them here in our grow room. This grow room, it's an old stone building, and it really doesn't get below freezing, especially because we have all of these lights. They're LED lights, and they do put off just a little bit of heat. We're pretty sure just enough to keep it above freezing, and if need be, we can put in some supplemental heat. We do keep a thermometer in here, and we can monitor this with our phone so that we know just how cold it gets in here. Our goal is to have all of those tender perennials live in here over the winter so that come spring, they will be able to take off and be beautiful for our first day of sales.
Okay, after we're done potting up all those plugs, all those plants from the mist tunnel, we have a lot of leftover pots. We don't want to waste them. There'll be some that'll be ruined, that'll be cracked and split. Can't really use those again, so they'll go to recycle. The others we want to continue to use. They're in good shape, but we do need to disinfect them. How we do that is we'll soak them in bleach water.
So after we've washed everything, we need to just store it for the winter. Black pots, even when they're outside in the winter, if the sun hits them and they're empty, they can melt or deform. And so we always have to keep them inside. So this is our seed shed. This is where we started seeds way back when, and we outgrew it in one season. So we just converted it. We put some shelves in here. We try to keep all of our pots, all of the square ones together, all the round ones together, and similar sizes. Now, a lot of our customers give us pots, and some of those are great and were wonderful. We love having those recycled pots because the less we have to buy, the better. Keep them out of the landfill. Some of them we can't use if they have branded names on them or they're oddball sizes, and so those we do recycle. So we're just going to put these on our shelves, and believe it or not, this was close to empty at the beginning of the season, and as we rotate through, we just use more in different sizes. So one of the other very important things that we have to do to get ready for next spring is our planning. We know how many plants we're going to have over the winter, and we plan for about 50% of those to die, although our success rate is better than 90. And we'll go over that when we actually put things into our winter tunnel. But we plan for a 50% success rate so we know what kind of plants we'll bring in next year. And then we look at what sold really well and that we need to order more of, or what didn't sell so much that we don't need to order as many. And so we work on a plan. We analyze our data from last year, we analyze our data from the year before, and let me tell you, if a particular echinacea just flew off of the benches this year, the chances are they're not going to sell next year. We've been burned by that before, but you know, plants are plants. And we take a chance. It's farming, and we take chances all the time. So we're going to order plants for next year. We're going to get our marketing plan for next year. We're also going to order all of our fertilizer, pots that we need, any kind of soil amendments we need, our soil. So we have to order in bales and bales of peat moss and perlite and pine bark mulch, and those things, and sand, things that we need to. All of our propagation tubs, this year is our 4th year using those propagation tubs, and many of them cracked, so we'll have to replace those. So that's the kind of thing that we do in the winter to get ready so that next spring, when it gets super crazy busy and we don't know which side is up, we have all of our supplies.
So the last, well, I don't know if it's really the last step, but we'll record it right now as the last step is we'll take a look at our infrastructure, what needs to be improved, what needs to be repaired, and if we want to grow, what do we need to add to it?
So this year we already know that even though we brought soil in for underneath our grow tunnel and our sales tunnel, it settled way too much, and we have puddles and we have mud spots there. So we're going to have to pull that ground cover back up, and then we're going to bring in a couple loads of gravel to put down, and that will help with drainage and it'll help keep that. That's one thing that we definitely know we need to do.
We need more tables.
Absolutely, because we're bringing in so many more varieties of plants, especially all those Missouri natives. We're going to need to make more tables this winter.
And I'm hoping to build a structure to give us shade, but where we can do all our potting up at one location out here at the nursery.
Instead
to make
of moving the temporary
geez.
tables all the time.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You know, we try to practice lean farming, and I got to tell, every year we keep looking and seeing how we can improve to make things better, make it easier. So
the other thing we have to do is we're going to have to add more sprinkler heads.
Yes.
Because we're going to add more tables. We need to make sure that we automate that watering as much as possible to make sure that our plants get, you know, the kind of water that they need to grow well. So we'll have to add that. And I'm sure there's a dozen other things that we'll come up with. Yeah,
this will be sit down, okay, let's brainstorm. We like to call it thorns and roses. What was good, what was bad, what needs to be improved or repaired or done away with, and what do we want to grow with? What was great that we want to expand on? So a great opportunity of improving year after year in your nursery. So we really hope that our techniques and what we're doing in preparing for the winter gives you some insight and some ideas of how you can prepare or get through the winter in preparing for next spring.
So the other thing is, if you do something that we missed, let us know. Put it down in the comments. What that does is it helps other people who read the comments say, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Oh yeah, I need to make sure that I add that to my to-do list. And it, you know, we just help each other out. We like growing plants. We like selling our plants, obviously, to our customers, but we really also like encouraging you to grow plants. It's a great way to add some supplemental income to your budget.
You know, and it brings you joy to grow a plant. Like when I do the blackberries and I grow roots out of a branch that has, that's just a branch. And then you dig it up and there's a cluster of roots there. Now you can pot it up and bless somebody with one of those plants. It helps beautify the area. And I can't really think of a whole lot more out there to give me joy than to add beauty to this world. So
please like and subscribe to our channel, like our videos and comment. We do hang out in the comment section, so we try to answer as many comments as we can. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next video.
God bless you.